Bonjour and welcome back, Francophile friends. Ready for another deep dive? This time, we're flipping through the latest issue of France Today magazine.
Oh, yeah, this one's a real treat. It's like a little escape to France right here in our hands.
Exactly. So much to uncover. From news and culture to travel inspiration, all those little details that make France so captivating.
I know, right? I mean, where do we even begin?
Well, the reopening of Notre Dame is definitely a highlight. Can you believe it's been over 4 years since that devastating fire?
I know, it feels like just yesterday we were watching those images in disbelief. And now, finally, the cathedral is welcoming visitors back.
It's incredible to see those iconic towers standing tall again, a symbol of resilience.
Absolutely. And this issue delves into all the details of the reopening, the meticulous restoration work, the new features. It's really fascinating.
Like what? What kind of new features are they talking about?
Well, they've implemented a new online ticketing system, which is fantastic for planning your visit. And they've even developed a mobile app.
An app. So you can get all the historical insights right there on your phone as you explore.
Exactly. It's like having a personal tour guide in your pocket. Plus, it helps you navigate that vast space.
That's so cool. It's like they've seamlessly blended history with modern technology.
They really have. But of course, the restoration is still an ongoing process. Certain areas are still under construction, like the sacristy and some of the stained glass windows.
Right, it's a massive undertaking.
Mm.
But amidst all that restoration, they've also made some incredible discoveries, haven't they?
Oh, yes. Like those lead sarcophagi they found beneath the cathedral floor.
I know. It sounds like something straight out of a mystery novel. Lead coffins hidden beneath Notre Dame. Who were they?
Well, one of them was identified as belonging to Antoine de la Porte, a canon at Notre Dame. They found a preserved inscription, so that was pretty straightforward.
Okay, but what about the other one?
That one remained a mystery for a while. They even nicknamed him the Horseman because evidence suggested he was an avid rider.
Okay, spill the beans. Who was he?
It turns out it was the poet Joachim du Bellay.
A poet. I wouldn't have expected that.
Well, his uncle was a cardinal, which explains the burial site.
Ah, connections. Always fascinating how those historical threads intertwine. But from centuries-old mysteries, let's shift gears to something a little lighter.
You mean like the story about the tobacconist who received an apology note and 50 euros from a former candy thief?
Exactly. Talk about a blast from the past. Can you imagine getting an apology for something you probably forgot even happened?
I know, right? It makes you wonder what prompted that sudden wave of guilt.
Maybe a New Year's resolution to right past wrongs. Speaking of New Year and new beginnings, Nancy is on a mission to find the perfect Christmas tree for 2025.
Apparently they're looking for a silver fir, at least 20 meters high and 8 meters wide.
Wow, that's a serious Christmas tree. It's going to be a sight to behold in place Stanislaus.
Definitely worth a trip. And while we're on the topic of unusual discoveries, get this. A Swiss company has become the first to bottle and market water from Parisian underground reservoirs.
Hold on, did I hear that right? Bottled Parisian underground water.
Yep, you heard it right. Eau de Paris, they're calling it.
I wonder if it has that certain je ne sais quoi. All right, enough about water. Let's talk about events. What's on the Francophile cultural calendar this season?
Well, champagne lovers should mark their calendars for Habits de Lumière in Epernay. It's a 3-day festival in December with street performers, gourmet events, wine tastings, and dazzling light shows.
Champagne and lights. Sign me up. What else is happening?
If you're a comic book fan, the Angoulême International Comics Festival is a must. It's the world's largest gathering dedicated to comics, with exhibitions and events all over the city.
That sounds like a blast and a chance to experience a different side of French culture.
And for those who prefer their festivals a bit more traditional, there's the St. Vincent Tournant.
Ah, yes. The Burgundy Wine Festival. Each year it's held in a different village, keeping those ancient traditions alive.
Exactly. A fantastic opportunity to sample some incredible wines and experience the true heart of Burgundy. But art lovers aren't left out either. The Musée National Picasso Paris is hosting a fascinating exhibition about Jackson Pollock's early years.
Jackson Pollock in Paris. That's an interesting combination. What's the focus?
It explores the diverse influences that shaped his artistic development, from Mexican muralists to Native American art and even European avant-garde movements.
Wow, that's a pretty global perspective. It's a good reminder that inspiration can come from anywhere. Speaking of global inspiration, the Grand Palais is showcasing 7 installations by Japanese artist Chiharu Shiota.
Oh, yes, those are supposed to be incredible. They promise to transport you into a dreamlike world, a truly immersive experience.
I'm always fascinated by art that pushes those boundaries. And what about the Chateau de Fontainebleau? What treasures are they showcasing this season?
They're shining a spotlight on Jean-Baptiste Oudry, an artist who might not be as well known but is definitely worth discovering.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell us more about him.
He's known for incredibly detailed animal portraits and depictions of King Louis XV's hunts. So, a glimpse into the world of French aristocracy and royal patronage.
Ooh, anything to do with royal history, I'm there. And what about the Musée Yves Saint Laurent? What treasures are they unveiling?
They've teamed up with their counterpart in Marrakech for an exhibition all about flowers, a recurring theme in YSL's designs.
Flowers and fashion, what a perfect pairing. It's amazing how nature has inspired so many artists and designers throughout history.
Absolutely. And for those with a penchant for the surreal, the Pompidou Center is hosting an exhibition that spans a whole century of surrealist art and literature.
Oh wow, a deep dive into the minds of Dali, Magritte, and all those other iconic surrealists. I love how the French art scene embraces those different movements and perspectives.
It's a true reflection of France's rich artistic heritage. But let's shift gears now to the world of music. This issue has a spotlight on Thomas Dutronc.
Ah, yes. He comes from a true musical dynasty, doesn't he?
He does. His father is the legendary Jacques Dutronc, and his mother was the iconic Françoise Hardy, who sadly passed away earlier this year.
What a legacy to inherit. What's Thomas Dutronc's music like?
He blends jazz, gypsy, and traditional French chanson influences. He's released albums of original music, but also some innovative covers of classic French songs.
I remember a few years back he released an album called Frenchie, featuring collaborations with international artists. Wasn't Iggy Pop on that album?
He was. It was a unique and unexpected take on those classic French songs, and a couple of years ago he toured with his father, which must have been an incredible experience for both of them.
It's always special when family can share those creative moments together. So what's he up to now?
He's back with a brand new album. We don't have all the details yet, but the article hints at some exciting collaborations and a fresh take on his signature sound.
I'm looking forward to hearing it. But before we get too lost in music, let's talk about something that's been catching my eye lately. French wallpaper.
Oh yeah, it's making a comeback in a big way. And these aren't your grandma's floral patterns. There are some really stunning and modern designs out there.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Well, one that caught my eye is a magnificent Eiffel Tower mural by Pape de Paris. Imagine that as a statement piece in your living room.
Talk about bringing a touch of Paris home. What else?
For something a little more whimsical, Le Presse Papier in Lyon has created a range called Ruby 200%, inspired by Jean de La Fontaine's fables.
Oh, I love that idea. It's like bringing those classic stories to life right on your walls. And let's delve into a historical connection that I find absolutely fascinating, the friendship between Claude Monet and Georges Clemenceau.
Yes, the artist and the politician. It's a pairing you wouldn't necessarily expect, but their bond was deep and enduring.
I know, right? They seem like such opposite personalities. What brought them together?
Their shared passions, they both loved art, horticulture, and even cars. Clemenceau was a frequent visitor to Monet's garden at Giverny, and they'd spend hours talking about flowers, art, and life.
I can just picture them strolling through those beautiful gardens, deep in conversation. It's a reminder that even the most unlikely pairings can find common ground. Are there any fun anecdotes about their friendship?
Clemenceau used to call Monet a frightful old hedgehog.
That's hilarious.
Huh?
I guess even those legendary figures had a sense of humor. Now let's transition to something a little lighter. Stephen Clark's humorous essay about celebrating Christmas as a Brit in France.
Oh, this one's a gem. He talks about the cultural clashes, the bemused reactions of his French family to his insistence on serving Christmas pudding.
I can only imagine the confusion. Christmas pudding is definitely an acquired taste, especially for those unfamiliar with British holiday traditions.
He also talks about his attempts to introduce English sparkling wine into the festivities, much to the chagrin of his champagne-loving French relatives.
It's a classic clash of cultures, but it's heartwarming to see how those differences can also bring people together. Now let's travel to the charming city of Bourges, which is having a bit of a moment right now.
Bourges is a hidden gem that's finally getting the recognition it deserves. It's been chosen as the European Capital of Culture for 2028.
Wow, that's a huge honor. What makes Bourges so special?
Well, for starters, it has a beautifully preserved medieval center full of elegant architecture and historical landmarks, and its Saint-Étienne Cathedral is a must-see.
I've heard it's one of the widest cathedrals in France, known for its stunning stained glass windows.
It is, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But beyond the cathedral, there are so many other things to discover.
Like what? What else does Bourges have to offer?
Well, right next to the cathedral is the Jardin de l'Archevêché, a beautiful garden perfect for a peaceful stroll.
That sounds lovely. And for those who prefer something a bit more unique, what else is there?
Well, there's a charming tea house near the cathedral called Maison Nano 1807.
A tea house in France. That's not what I'd expect.
I know, right? But they specialize in incredible mint tea blends, including a luxurious peach and mint tea that sounds divine. And in the summer, Bourges hosts Les Nuits Lumière, where the city center is illuminated with blue lights.
Wow, that sounds magical. I can already picture it.
It's truly a sight to behold. And for those who want to explore the city and its surroundings at a more leisurely pace, Bourges is located on the Canal de Berry.
So you can rent a bike and cycle along the canal, enjoying those traffic-free views.
Exactly. And if you're an architecture buff, don't miss Palais Jacques Coeur.
Oh, I've seen pictures of that stunning example of flamboyant Gothic architecture.
It's a must-see for anyone who appreciates architectural history. So Bourges offers a bit of everything: history, culture, nature, and even a touch of the unexpected.
Sounds like the perfect destination for a French getaway.
And if Bourges is all about charming cities, let's venture now to a completely different landscape, the Marais Poitevin, also known as the Green Venice.
Ah, yes. I've seen pictures. That incredible network of canals and waterways.
Exactly. Lush greenery everywhere, teeming with wildlife. A true haven for nature lovers.
It sounds so peaceful. How do you even explore a place like that?
Now, the most traditional way is by riding in a flat-bottomed wooden barge. They kind of glide along those canals. You're just surrounded by nature.
I bet it's incredibly relaxing, just drifting along those waterways.
It really is. And you can spot all sorts of wildlife: herons, swans, even otters.
Oh, I'd love to see an otter in the wild. Okay, from peaceful canals to something a little more adventurous, this issue also highlights the GR70 hiking trail, or, as it's more romantically known, Stevenson's Trail.
Oh, yes. The trail that follows in the footsteps of Robert Louis Stevenson, retracing that journey he documented in Travels with a Donkey in the Cevennes.
You know, I've always wanted to read that book. What's so special about the Cevennes region?
It's a mountainous region, steeped in history, stunning landscapes. Stevenson was particularly interested in the Huguenots, the French Protestants who faced persecution in that area.
It sounds like a journey through both time and nature.
It is. You hike through those rugged mountains, dense forests, pass through charming villages, and along the way, you encounter all these historical sites, places that played a role in the Huguenot story.
So it's not just about the physical challenge, but also the historical and cultural immersion.
Exactly. Speaking of immersive experiences, Maison Ruinart, one of the oldest champagne houses, has unveiled its newly renovated visitor center.
Oh, champagne. Tell me more.
It's this beautiful blend of old and new. They've preserved those historic buildings, but added a modern touch with a contemporary pavilion.
I like that. Respecting the history while embracing the future.
And they've really focused on sustainability. Biosourced materials, rainwater harvesting, even a green roof.
Sounds like they're leading the way in sustainable design. What about the champagne itself? Any chance to sample those bubbly delights?
Of course. There's a dedicated tasting area where you can sample Ruinart's champagnes and learn about their process.
Sounds like a perfect way to spend an afternoon. But for those who prefer their slopes covered in snow rather than vineyards, Lonely Planet has ranked some of the top ski resorts in France.
Oh, yes. And this issue gives us a peek into what makes each one special. Whether you're looking for charming villages or high-altitude slopes, France has it all.
Yeah, give us the rundown. Which resorts made the cut?
Well, Megève in the Haute-Savoie region is a classic, known for its chic atmosphere, those traditional chalets, and of course, plenty of slopes for all levels.
Megève always sounds so glamorous.
It is. And for those seeking a more unique experience, Avoriaz in the Porte du Soleil ski area is car-free.
Wait, no cars. How do you get around?
Horse-drawn carriages and sleds. It's a very family-friendly resort, and it gets tons of snow each year.
Sounds like a winter wonderland. What about for those seeking a more luxurious ski experience?
Well, Courchevel, in the Trois-Vallées area, is the place to be. High-end shops, gourmet restaurants, luxurious hotels, and part of the largest ski area in the world.
So if you want to ski in style, Courchevel is the place to go.
Exactly. But if you're looking for something a bit more off the beaten path, Serre Chevalier in the Hautes-Alpes is a great choice.
What makes it stand out?
It's known for its authentic atmosphere, uncrowded slopes, and an exceptional off-piste area for those who like to venture beyond the groomed runs.
Sounds like a true escape for the adventurous skier. But let's trade those snowy peaks for the revitalizing air of the Atlantic coast. This issue highlights Thalassor royan, a center dedicated to thalassotherapy.
Ah, yes. Thalassotherapy, harnessing the power of the sea for relaxation and rejuvenation.
I've heard about it, but never actually tried it. What kind of treatments do they offer?
All sorts. Aerated baths with air jets to massage those muscles, underwater showers with high-pressure seawater jets, seaweed and sea mud wraps.
Sea mud. I'm not sure about that one.
It's supposed to be incredible for your skin, detoxifying and nourishing.
All right, maybe I'll give it a try. So the focus is on using natural elements from the sea to promote well-being.
Exactly. It's all about connecting with the healing power of the ocean.
Sounds incredibly relaxing. Now let's journey back in time and explore those charming French fishing villages.
Ah, yes, those picturesque villages that cling to the coastline, a glimpse into France's maritime heritage.
I love the idea of experiencing that authentic coastal charm. Which villages are featured in this issue?
Well, we start in Normandy with Barfleur, a village known for its picturesque harbor, those charming stone houses, and of course, delicious seafood.
It sounds like something out of a postcard.
It really is. And if you want to experience those fishing traditions firsthand, Barfleur offers fishing charters through Normandy Fraîche Mer.
So you can head out on a boat with local fishermen and see how it's done.
Exactly. Then we head over to Brittany, where we're spotlighting two villages, Douarnenez and Paimpol.
Brittany is a region I definitely want to explore more. What's special about these two villages?
Douarnenez was once a major sardine fishing hub. It has 4 harbors. You can still feel those echoes of the past today.
Wow, 4 harbors. I can only imagine the bustling activity back in the day.
And Paimpol is known for its colorful houses and a lively Tuesday morning market. Plus, they have a sea shanty festival in August, which is apparently a lot of fun.
Sea shanties. I'm sold. What other villages are on the itinerary?
From Brittany, we travel south to Ostini, where we stop in Port Vendres. It's got Catalan influences, a picturesque harbor, and a fascinating history.
A blend of French and Catalan charm. I like it.
And finally, we end our tour of fishing villages in Provence and Sanary-sur-Mer.
Provence in the winter. That sounds lovely. What's Sanary-sur-Mer known for?
It's been a favorite spot for artists for a long time. A vibrant Wednesday market, those charming streets lined with art galleries and boutiques.
A perfect blend of creativity and coastal beauty.
Exactly. It's fascinating how these villages have adapted, embraced tourism while preserving their heritage.
It's a delicate balance, but it's great that they're finding ways to share their unique traditions with the world. Now let's move from coastal charm to a unique twist on a classic French pastime boule carré.
Oh, yes. Have you heard of this?
I've heard the term, but I'm not sure I understand it. What is boule carré?
Instead of those round boules, you play with square wooden blocks.
Square blocks. That seems like it would make the game a lot harder.
It does. That square shape adds this element of unpredictability. They bounce and roll in unexpected ways, and you have to factor in those inclines, especially in villages where the terrain is sloped.
So it's not just about skill, there's a bit of luck involved too.
Absolutely. It's believed to have originated in Lyon back in the 19th century.
Wow, so it's been around for a while.
It has. And it spread to different parts of France, especially in the south. There are even variations, like in Set, where they play with metal cubes.
Metal cubes. Sounds even more challenging.
Yeah.
All right, from square boules to the rolling hills of the Corbières wine region.
Ah, Corbière, the largest appellation in Languedoc-Roussillon. A region that's often overlooked but produces some incredible wines.
I'm always up for discovering new wine regions. What makes Corbière special?
Well, that vast scale leads to a huge variety of wine styles, from crisp whites to those robust reds.
So something for everyone.
Exactly. And within Corbière, there's a cru appellation called Corbière-Boutenac, known for its exceptional red wines. They have stricter production rules.
Oh, I'll have to keep an eye out for those bottles. But on a more somber note, this issue also addresses the challenges faced by French winemakers during this year's harvest.
Yes, it's been a difficult year for many wine regions due to those weather-related issues. A cool, wet start to the summer, followed by mildew. It's impacted those grape yields significantly.
It's always heartbreaking to hear about those challenges, especially for those who depend on a successful harvest. Which regions were hit the hardest?
Burgundy and the Loire Valley were particularly affected. Some areas saw yield reductions of up to 30%. Beaujolais had hail damage, and even Bordeaux is expecting a drop in production.
It's a reminder of the vulnerability of those agricultural traditions, how climate change is impacting even those time-honored practices.
Absolutely. It's a global issue that requires global solutions.
But let's shift gears to something a little sweeter, shall we? What culinary delights does this issue of France Today have in store for us?
This issue features two classic French recipes, lemon meringue tartlets and apricot and blackberry galettes.
Oh, those both sound delicious. I'm a sucker for anything lemon.
The lemon meringue tartlets are a classic for a reason. That tangy lemon filling, the fluffy meringue topping, those individual tartlets are always a crowd pleaser.
I can practically taste that sweet and tart combination.
Okay.
And the apricot and blackberry galettes.
They're a celebration of summer flavors, those juicy apricots and sweet blackberries baked in that rustic, free-form pastry. A simple yet elegant dessert.
Okay, now I'm craving both. But let's move from sweet treats to something a bit more savory. The magazine highlights Aldehyde, a Parisian restaurant that's putting a modern twist on Tunisian cuisine.
Aldehyde is a great example of how the Parisian dining scene is becoming more diverse and innovative. Chef Youssef Marzouk blends those classic Tunisian flavors with modern techniques.
I love that fusion of traditional and modern. What are some of the must-try dishes?
Oh, so many. A carrot tartlet with cumin, girolles and tapenade, a miniature tomato salad with burrata and orange flower water.
Wait, did you say orange flower water? I love that flavor.
It adds this delicate floral note. And for the main course, you can't go wrong with the yellow pollock with stuffed zucchini flower and turmeric sauce.
Those flavors sound incredible. I'm definitely adding Aldehyde to my list of restaurants to try. What other dining experiences does the issue highlight?
Well, there's La Palme d'Or in Cannes, led by chef Jean Imbert, known for his innovative Mediterranean cuisine. And for a more casual Parisian experience, Marius Brasserie at the Gare de Lyon train station is a hidden gem.
A hidden gem in a train station.
You wouldn't expect it, but they're known for their fresh, seasonal ingredients and classic French dishes. A welcome change from those typical train station meals.
Definitely. Now let's trade those culinary delights for a journey into the historical grandeur of the Basilique Cathedral de Saint-Denis.
Ah, Saint-Denis, often overlooked but a true treasure. It's located just north of Paris.
I haven't been there yet. What makes it so special?
Well, it's one of the very first Gothic cathedrals. Think soaring arches, those intricate details, and it was the necropolis for French royalty.
A necropolis. So all those kings and queens are buried there.
Many of them. The basilica is filled with their tombs, each one a work of art, telling a story. And those stained glass windows are incredible, bathing the space in this ethereal light.
It sounds breathtaking.
It is. You can almost feel the weight of history in that space. And speaking of remarkable figures, the magazine also delves into the life and legacy of Marie Curie.
A true pioneer in science. A woman who broke so many barriers.
She was. Born in Poland, she became a French citizen and dedicated her life to scientific research. She discovered radium and polonium, revolutionizing our understanding of radioactivity.
Her work was groundbreaking, but also dangerous. She ultimately sacrificed her health for her discoveries.
It's a testament to her dedication and passion for science. And in Paris, you can visit the Musée Curie, dedicated to her life and work. They've even preserved her office just as it was.
I'd love to see that. A glimpse into the mind of a genius. But let's shift gears now to the festive season. The magazine explores French Christmas traditions, those charming customs that make the holidays so special.
Christmas in France is truly magical. One lovely tradition is the use of live Christmas trees, which are often planted in gardens after the holidays.
I love that. A sustainable and symbolic way to celebrate. What about those famous French Christmas markets?
Oh, they're a must. Célestat in Alsace has one of the oldest, dating back to the 16th century. And in Chartres, the market is held right at the foot of that magnificent cathedral.
Chartres Cathedral, a masterpiece of Gothic architecture. I can only imagine how magical it must look, all lit up for the holidays. What other markets are featured?
Colmar, also in Alsace, is known for its beautiful setting, those colorful half-timbered houses. And Montbéliard in eastern France has a market reflecting the region's Protestant heritage.
It's amazing how each market has its own unique character and reflects the diversity of French culture.
And of course, you can't forget Strasbourg, one of the largest and most popular Christmas markets in Europe. The whole city transforms into a winter wonderland.
It sounds incredible. What about other festive events happening around the country?
Well, for the chocolate lovers, Lyon hosts the Salon du Chocolat, a celebration of all things chocolate. Imagine chocolatiers from all over France showcasing their creations.
Oh, my sweet tooth is tingling already. And what about for those who prefer savory delights?
Head to the Dordogne region for the Sarlat Truffle Festival. You can watch truffle hunting demonstrations, take cooking classes, and of course, taste those prized black Perigord truffles.
That sounds like an unforgettable experience. And for those who want to celebrate the holidays in a more active way, what are the options?
France has some incredible ski festivals, like Snowbox and Avoriaz and Rise Festival in Les Deux Alpes. They combine skiing with live music, DJ sets, and those après-ski parties.
It's like a party in the mountains. But for those who prefer a more educational approach to their holiday, what's available?
The Alpine French School in Morzine offers a unique opportunity to learn French while you ski. They have courses for all levels.
That's a fantastic way to combine learning and leisure. But now let's talk about something that often baffles visitors to France le Courant d'Air, that love of fresh air, even in the colder months.
Right. That almost instinctive need to open windows and doors, create a draft.
I've definitely experienced that. What's the reasoning behind this cultural phenomenon?
It's a deep-rooted belief that fresh air is vital for good health. It circulates the air, prevents illness, and brings vibrancy into a space.
It's a reminder that even something as simple as opening a window can have cultural significance.
Absolutely. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, the French government even advised people to ventilate their homes regularly, reinforcing that traditional belief.
It's interesting how cultural practices can influence even public health recommendations. Now, before we move on, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the passing of Françoise Hardy. She was a true icon of French music.
She was. Her music transcended generations. She had this unique blend of elegance, sophistication, and melancholy in her voice and her songwriting.
What were some of her most popular songs?
Tous les garçons et les filles is a classic, a timeless ballad about teenage love. And Le Temps de l'amour has been covered by countless artists. Her albums from the 1960s really capture the spirit of that era.
Her music definitely had a timeless quality. Now, let's move from a musical icon to a visual one. The Musée du Luxembourg is hosting a retrospective of Tarsila do Amaral, a Brazilian artist who was instrumental in developing modern art in Brazil.
It's a fantastic exhibition, showcasing her unique style, which blended European modernism with those indigenous Brazilian themes.
That combination of influences sounds really interesting. What are some of the key characteristics of her work?
Her paintings are vibrant, full of energy, often depicting scenes from everyday life alongside dreamlike visions. She drew inspiration from Brazilian landscapes, people, and folklore.
It sounds like a fascinating exploration of Brazilian culture and identity.
It is. And her use of color is incredible, inspired by those tropical landscapes and vibrant culture. One of the key themes she explored was anthropophagia, meaning cannibalism.
Cannibalism, that's a bit intense.
It's not meant literally. It's a metaphor for absorbing European influences and transforming them to create a uniquely Brazilian form of modernism.
Ah, so it's about reclaiming and celebrating Brazilian identity.
Exactly. Now, how about a culinary journey along the Mayenne River?
Ooh, I'm always up for a culinary adventure. What's special about the Mayenne River?
It's a beautiful waterway in the Pays de la Loire region, and this journey is all about exploring it by boat, stopping along the way to sample those regional specialties.
So you're cruising along, taking in the scenery, and indulging in delicious food and wine. Sounds idyllic.
It is. The journey often starts in Laval, a charming town with a medieval castle. And as you make your way down the Mayenne, you can enjoy activities like water skiing, explore those picturesque villages, and of course, savor the local cuisine.
What kind of cuisine are we talking about?
Everything from fresh seafood to regional specialties like rillettes, those delicious meat spreads. And don't forget the pastries and local wines. One notable stop is Chateau Gontier, a historic town with a beautiful castle and a charming riverside setting.
It sounds like a feast for the senses. But let's switch gears now and talk about a traditional craft that's still alive and well in France, knife making.
Ah, yes. Knife making has a long and rich history in France, particularly in the Anjou region.
What makes Anjou knives so special?
They're known for their high quality and craftsmanship. The artisans in Anjou have been honing their skills for generations, using those traditional techniques to create blades that are both beautiful and functional.
It's amazing how those traditional crafts endure and continue to fascinate us.
They do, and in Anjou, you can actually participate in a knife-making workshop where you can learn those techniques and create your own unique knife.
Wow, what a unique experience. Now let's escape to the Brenne Regional Natural Park in the Berry region. It's an area I haven't explored much, but it sounds incredible for nature lovers.
The Brenne is a hidden gem, often referred to as the land of 1,000 lakes.
1,000 lakes. That's incredible.
It is, and those lakes attract an incredible variety of birds, making it a birdwatcher's paradise. You'll also find marshlands, meadows, forests, a truly diverse ecosystem.
It sounds like a perfect place to escape the hustle and bustle and reconnect with nature.
It really is. There's a network of hiking trails, cycling paths, and even canoe routes, so you can explore at your own pace. And they offer guided tours led by naturalists.
So you can learn all about the park's flora and fauna from the experts. Now let's delve into a piece of history that's both fascinating and poignant. A World War I tunnel complex in the Pas-de-Calais region.
This complex, located near the town of Arras, was used by British troops leading up to the Battle of Arras in 1917.
It's hard to imagine the conditions those soldiers endured in those underground tunnels.
It's a stark reminder of the sacrifices made during that war. The complex has been preserved and transformed into a museum, so you can walk through those tunnels, see the living quarters, and get a sense of what life was like for those soldiers.
It sounds like a powerful and moving experience. But now let's switch gears to something a little lighter. The magazine's Les Infos section always has those quirky little news items and cultural tidbits.
It does. Like the story about the scrimmage people, France's very first male cheerleading squad.
Wait, male cheerleaders in France? That's not what I'd expect.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's challenging those gender stereotypes and bringing some American-style enthusiasm to women's sports competitions in northern France and Belgium.
I love it. What other cultural quirks did you discover?
Well, there's a fascinating initiative called Chemins Epicuriens, a culinary journey along the Burgundy wine route.
Ooh, Burgundy. Tell me more.
It's a collaboration between several key institutions, including the Cité de Climat et Vin de Bourgogne, the Hôtel Dieu des Hospices de Beaune, the Château de Clos de Vougeot, and the Cité Internationale de la Gastronomie et du Vin in Dijon.
Wow, that's quite a lineup. What's the idea behind it?
It's a combined ticket that gives you access to all four institutions, so you can explore Burgundy's wine and culinary heritage at your own pace. Imagine visiting vineyards, sampling wines, learning about winemaking, and indulging in that renowned Burgundy gastronomy.
It sounds like a dream trip for any wine lover. And speaking of magical experiences, the Fête des Lumières in Lyon is always a highlight of December.
It's spectacular. The whole city is illuminated with these incredible light installations, transforming Lyon into a work of art.
I've seen pictures. It looks absolutely breathtaking. And while we often associate cheerleading with American culture, it's apparently gaining popularity in France.
It is. There are even all-male cheerleading squads like those scrimmage people we talked about earlier.
It's fascinating how cultural influences can evolve and adapt in different parts of the world.
They do. And speaking of adapting and evolving, Studio Harcourt Paris, known for those glamorous black and white celebrity portraits, has partnered with a tech brand to bring their signature style to smartphones.
Wait, what? Studio Harcourt on my phone?
They've collaborated with Honor to create an AI-powered portrait engine that captures that classic Harcourt style with dramatic lighting and those elegant poses.
It's like bringing a touch of old Hollywood glamour to your everyday photos. I love it. But let's trade those red carpets for something a bit more adventurous. The magazine also highlights some alternative winter activities in the French Alps.
It's true. They've really embraced those activities that allow you to experience the mountains in a different way.
So what kind of alternative activities are we talking about?
Well, snowshoeing is always a popular choice, a great way to explore those snowy trails and enjoy the peace and quiet of the mountains.
Snowshoeing is definitely on my winter bucket list. What else?
Ice climbing is another option for the more adventurous. Imagine scaling those frozen waterfalls, a true test of skill and strength.
That's a bit too extreme for me. I prefer my feet firmly on the ground. What about something a little more relaxing?
Well, there's ice swimming. Apparently it's become quite popular in the Alps.
Ice swimming? As in swimming in a frozen lake? That sounds incredibly cold.
It is, but they say it has incredible health benefits. There's even a spot near Samoans, a village in the Haute-Savoie, where you can take the plunge.
I'll have to take their word for it. I'm more of a hot chocolate by the fire kind of person. What about cold yoga?
Ah, yes. Cold yoga in the Alps, another trend that's gaining popularity. It's all about combining those yoga poses with the invigorating effects of the cold mountain air.
Interesting. I guess it's a way to really connect with nature and challenge yourself both physically and mentally.
Exactly. It's all about pushing those boundaries and embracing the elements. Speaking of embracing the elements, this issue also touches on falconry, a tradition that's still practiced in France.
Falconry, as in hunting with birds of prey.
Yep. It's an ancient practice dating back to the Middle Ages, and it's still alive and well in France today.
I've always been fascinated by those birds, their power and grace. What's the practice of falconry like in France?
Well, it's more than just a sport, it's a way of life for those who practice it. They train birds like falcons, hawks, and eagles to hunt small game. It takes a lot of patience, skill, and a deep understanding of those birds.
It sounds like a truly unique and ancient bond between human and animal.
It is. It's a tradition that's been passed down through generations, and it's still practiced in different parts of the country.
Now, let's embark on a historical journey through the Pas-de-Calais region, an area that's seen its fair share of conflicts and cultural exchanges.
The Pas-de-Calais has a rich and complex history. It's been at the crossroads of Europe for centuries, shaped by everything from medieval battles to industrial revolutions and world wars.
It's incredible to think of all the layers of history embedded in that landscape. What are some of the key events that have left their mark on the region?
Well, the Battle of Crécy in 1346, a pivotal battle in the Hundred Years' War, took place there, and it played a strategic role in both World War I and World War II.
So many significant moments in history have unfolded there. What are some of the sites or monuments that visitors can explore to connect with that past?
Well, in Calais, you have the Town Hall Belfry, which offers stunning views of the city. It's a reminder of Calais' medieval past.
And nearby, are there any remnants of that English occupation?
There are. You can explore the ruins of an English fort, a tangible reminder of that period of conflict and conquest.
It's like stepping back in time. What other historical treasures await in the Pas-de-Calais?
One of the most impressive is the Coupole de Helfausen. It's a massive concrete dome built by the Nazis during World War II as a launch site for those V-2 rockets.
It's a chilling reminder of the war's destructive power.
It is, but it's been transformed into a museum and memorial, a place where you can reflect on that history and its impact.
It's amazing how those places that once represented conflict and destruction can be repurposed as places of remembrance and education.
Absolutely. And the Pas-de-Calais also has a rich industrial heritage, particularly in coal mining. In fact, the Louvre Lens, a branch of the famous Louvre Museum in Paris, is built on the site of a former coal mine.
Wow, what a unique way to combine art and history. But let's return to the world of wine for a moment. This issue also addresses the impact of climate change on the French wine industry.
It's a topic that's becoming increasingly urgent. Climate change is posing significant challenges to wine regions all over the world, and France is no exception.
It's a reminder that even those time-honored traditions are vulnerable to the forces of nature. What are some of the specific challenges that French winemakers are facing?
Well, rising temperatures can lead to earlier grape ripening, which can affect the balance of sugar, acidity, and tannins in the wine.
So it's not just about the quantity of grapes, but also the quality of the wine itself.
Exactly. And extreme weather events like those droughts and floods we've been seeing more frequently can also damage vineyards and reduce those grape yields.
It's a complex issue with far-reaching consequences. How are French winemakers adapting to these challenges?
While some are experimenting with different grape varietals that are more resistant to heat and drought, others are adapting their pruning and harvesting techniques, even considering relocating their vineyards to cooler climates.
It's inspiring to see their resilience and innovation as they work to preserve their craft in the face of those challenges. Now, let's move from the vineyards to the runway, or rather, a miniature version of it. The Musée des Arts Décoratifs in Paris is hosting an exhibition called Fashion in Models, showcasing a collection of model figurines that trace the evolution of fashion.
These figurines, spanning centuries, are like tiny ambassadors of style. Each one is dressed in the latest fashions of their time, offering a glimpse into how trends have evolved over the years.
I love that idea, seeing fashion history through those miniature models. What are some of the highlights of the exhibition?
Well, there are over 150 figurines on display, from the 18th century to the present day. You can see how silhouettes, fabrics, hairstyles have changed, from those elaborate gowns of the 18th century to the more streamlined styles of the 20th century.
It sounds like a fashion lover's dream. And speaking of dreams, let's talk about a film that's capturing attention for its unique take on the life of Salvador Dali, that legendary surrealist artist.
This biopic, directed by Quentin Dupieux, is anything but a traditional biographical film. It embraces that absurdity, the surrealism that defined Dali's art and personality.
A surrealist biopic about a surrealist artist. That seems fitting.
It is. The film is full of humor, visual tricks, unexpected twists. It's not a factual retelling of his life, but rather a more imaginative and surreal exploration of his personality, his art, his world.
It sounds like a film that will challenge your perceptions and leave you pondering long after the credits roll. Now, before we wrap up, I want to highlight one more hidden gem, the Autemeroi Marshes in northern France.
Ah, yes, the Autemeroi Marshes, a unique and fragile ecosystem in the Pas-de-Calais region.
I'm not familiar with those marshes. What makes them so special?
Well, they're a network of canals, waterways, and marshlands. It's a landscape that's been shaped both by nature and human intervention, and it's a biodiversity hotspot, home to all sorts of plants and animals.
It sounds like a nature lover's paradise. What's the best way to explore those marshes?
Well, the most traditional way is by boat. They have these traditional flat-bottomed boats called bacoves that glide along those canals.
It sounds incredibly peaceful, just drifting along those waterways surrounded by nature. And what about for those who prefer to explore on foot?
There are plenty of walking trails and cycling paths that wind through the marshes. You get those beautiful views and a chance to really connect with that natural beauty.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything in this issue of France Today magazine. From iconic landmarks to those hidden gems, cultural events, art exhibitions, culinary discoveries, it's been a whirlwind tour of all things French.
It really has. It's incredible how much France has to offer. Those enduring traditions, those exciting new trends. There's always something new to discover.
Exactly. And that's what makes exploring France so fascinating. It's a country that's constantly evolving while holding on to its rich history and heritage. So, for all you Francophiles out there, we encourage you to pick up a copy of France Today magazine. It's the perfect way to stay connected to France, whether you're planning a trip or just dreaming of future adventures.
And as we bid farewell to this episode, we'd love to hear from you. What French tradition, experience, or destination has captured your imagination? What are you most eager to explore? Share your thoughts with us on social media.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep discovering, and keep embracing the joy of all things French. Au revoir.